District 10, Tim Farrell, Jonathan Friedrich. Unfortunately, Assemblyman Joseph Hogan is not here today, so we will start. Gentlemen, you get 1 minute to explain who you are and why you're here. Mr. Friedrich, we'll start with you since you're closer to me.
And when my machine starts making noise, that means 50 seconds. We'll cut you off rudely if you go more than 10 seconds after that.
And make sure you turn on the mic.
Yeah, there's on-off switch on.
Thank you. Time starting yet?
Yep.
Go.
All right. My name is Jonathan Friedrich. I'm running for Assembly District 10. Before I begin, I'd like to take a couple of moments to point out Mr. Bob Roby, and the amputation was not due to war-related issues. Mr. George Kuroko, a former MP who survived Vietnam, and he was in Da Nang. Why am I running? I was a unpaid lobbyist in the last session of the legislature. I had Assemblyman Mumford introduce a bill which was AB 448, which dealt with homeowner association abuses and curbing them. Mr. Roby and I worked on that bill for 3 months. It passed through the Assembly 42 to nothing. Even Mr. Hendrick liked it, and he voted for it. I have been a volunteer. Am I done?
Yep.
Let me just finish the last 2 words. So here comes Mr. Hogan. I was a volunteer for the homeless in the Project Connect, and I met a lot of veterans. That day they had over 2,600 people come through the Cashman Center doors.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Tim Farrell. I'm also running for Assembly District 10. The reason I decided to run, I don't have any political experience or legal experience. I'm just a regular guy. But a lot of friends told me, they said, you know, if you're tired of something, if you're tired of what's going on, get off your couch and do something about it. So I said, you know, I may not win, but I'm going to give it a try, and that's why I'm here. I'm going to give it a try and see what we can do with it.
Okay, the panel, Mr. Senator Joe Hogan arrived. He's on the dais right now. Mr. Hogan, if you give us a minute of your time and why you're here.
Be glad to do that.
Use the mic, please.
Be glad to do that too. Okay, I see you broadcasting, that's good. I have been representing Assembly District number 10 for the last 8 years. I've probably walked every household several times, and so has my wife. It's been a very, very satisfying and interesting, and I recommend it to my new colleague. It probably won't get bored very often. They get a little tired because there's an awful lot of reading to do to stay up with all the issues. Let me get into a few things about veterans. I'm a Navy veteran. I spent 4 years as a midshipman in the Navy. It's one of the most modest positions available. I was then on active duty for 4 years. In Persian Gulf, when it was peaceful, and so on. I've been very interested in veterans issues.
Mr. Hogan, your intro time is over. Your intro time is up. You only have a minute. Okay, we will start. Rob, we'll go with Rob first, please. Rob, the first question, please. Mr. Hogan has not had an opportunity to see what you have given other candidates as far as the pledge.
John, did you want to give him a chance to write it?
No. So, because he's at a disadvantage. He has not seen that.
Thank you very much for coming out today. I'd like to ask each one of you to answer the following question. Currently, the VA has failed, I think, in many areas to properly take care of our vets here in Clark County and in Nevada. And as a result, the state and the county have incurred costs treating PTSD and police shootings and all the things that are related to National Guards that have come back and not have been receiving the proper care. do you think the state rather, should pursue and try to collect those monies from the federal government for monies that the state has had to lay out and incur as a result of the VA failing to take care of vets here in our community? Homelessness, as you know, this kind of gives shooting, county hospitals having to absorb costs, those kinds of things.
Thanks. Yeah, I do believe that that is well within the realm of a state's right to pursue any debtor, right, and including the federal government. And if the federal government has failed to fulfill its obligations, then it's our duty as citizens of the state of Nevada to pursue them to that end.
The short answer is yes. The longer answer is...
Mr. Friedrich, turn on the mic.
The short answer is yes. The longer answer is that I would approach our senators, congresspeople, and sit them down and try to get them to have the VA in Washington cough up the money to reimburse the states. When I had started to say before, I was as a volunteer at Project Connect, and I saw a lot of veterans who have been living on the street. So the worst case, I was on the intake section. I was on the intake section when they came in. There was a 2-page questionnaire that I filled out on their behalf. And the worst case, and it was heart-wrenching, it brought tears to my eyes, where the individual had been living on the street for 6 years. And this was a 6 years. Just think of spending one night in the winter
Mr. Friedrich,
living
time's up.
outside.
Mr. Hogan?
Thank you. I'm certainly in agreement that the national government has not come close to doing what it should do through its Veterans Administration and other agencies appropriate to meeting those obligations. There could be a lot of tactical questions on how we try to approach that. I don't think we march into court with a lawsuit. We have the state government trying to sue either the federal agency or the federal government, although it certainly would raise some interesting questions. I think if we want to get relief as soon as we can, there are a couple of things to do. One is we may have to, in some most urgent situations, look to see if we could substitute what the state can do for what the feds should be doing. That's quicker on the delivery. We have a state health care system. Now, it's terribly underfunded, but it could probably act more quickly on really crucial things.
Mr. Hogan?
Real quick.
You get about a minute, so.
Okay.
Real quick, I know Assemblyman Hogan hasn't read the commitment. Have you two read it? Or are you willing to commit to sign those today?
I did read and sign.
Okay. And you, Mr. Friedrich, did you
I
commit to
didn't
sign?
see,
I haven't yet.
I read it partially. I didn't see anything that was objectionable.
Okay, would you pledge to sign that today here?
Sorry?
Are you willing to pledge and sign that today?
As soon as I finish reading it, yes.
All right, thank you.
Were you talking this one or the?
Okay, this question is going to be for all three of you. I would like to start and go from my right to left with Assemblyman Hogan. Assemblyman Hogan, what's your feelings around one of your colleagues that's not here today but has proposed going to an annual legislation rather than the biannual, which we have right now? Number one, do you agree with going to an annual session? And if so, would it be 260-day? 60 days one year, 60 days the next, to keep it at the 120-day? Or would you prefer to have it 120-day legislative session every year? And that question is for all three. I just wanted to start from right to left.
I haven't as yet taken a position on that. I think, as with most major decisions like that, we need to go through the process, be sure we've heard, all the reasons, pro and con. Generally speaking, our sessions are very hurried. I wouldn't say we don't have time enough, but with all the folderol and the activities we have to participate in, I think it's difficult to get it all done, especially the budget, in a single 120-day session. So I would be sympathetic to looking for a way to give the legislature at least a little bit more time. I'm inclined to think it might be well to spread it over 2 years. So I would be generally favorable to looking closely at that. I don't see any terrible problems. We have problems the way it is. We should probably be willing to give it a try.
Okay, Assemblyman, thank you. Jonathan?
After having spent a lot of time up in the legislature, you have no idea how much time these legislators put in. They're in their office anywhere from 6:30 to 7 o'clock in the morning, and I've walked out of there at 11 o'clock at night. The idea of having an annual legislature is a great idea. There were over 1,200 bills that were introduced in the last session. It's huge. And some of these bills are 1 or 2 pages long, some of them are monsters, 50, 60 pages. The cost to the taxpayers, I believe, would be very substantial. Joe, you might know what the cost for the Assemblyman, remember what the cost is for a legislative session?
Okay, Jonathan.
Several $1 million, but somebody would have to pay for it. And in these economic times, something to consider.
Okay, thank you, sir. Tim?
So I absolutely would. I think one of the fundamental problems with our legislature is that it's part-time. Moving that to a once-a-year type of thing makes a lot of sense. You look at state rankings. Nevada ranks at the lowest as far as number of legislatures. I'd like to see the number increase. I'd like to see the salaries we pay legislatures decrease. You look at a state like New Hampshire, over 400 state legislatures, and constitutionally they make $200 a year. Or a session. I'd love if Nevada went to that. My colleague referred to the cost that would be involved. I think if we cut the cost from $8,000 per legislature per season to $200 per legislature per season, what we do is we weed out a lot of the folks that are professional politicians. And I think that's one of the things we need to do, get rid of the professionals and return it to a state of the people.
Okay, so just real quick, because we're short on time. Would you expand it past the 120-day? Would you do 120 days a year or 60 days to keep it at the 120 that's constitutionally mandated now?
Well, absolutely. 2 60-day sessions makes a lot of sense. Absolutely, yes.
John?
I would disagree because you'd lose continuity.
Assemblyman
It costs a
Nelson?
lot of money to set up that operation with all the staff up there.
I would also just add that many of the costs have more to do with being in Carson City than they do with overpaid legislators. We're pretty well underpaid by most standards. Not complaining about that. I didn't get involved for the wonderful money. But, if you have to have a full-time place to live up there, and you do, support yourself and so on, a lot of that cost is just kind of really necessary, not being squandered
Okay.
on.
Thanks, we get it, Assemblyman. Appreciate it.
In terms of benefiting the economy, what specific thing should Nevada stop doing that it currently is? Either the repeal of an existing law or ending a program or some such that we would benefit by the cessation of?
Who's that aimed at?
Let's start in the middle for a change.
Thank you for asking that question. I have become what's known as a homeowner's advocate, unpaid, and what is killing our economy is people not wanting to move here because of the abuses that go on in homeowner associations. And I would love to see NRS 116, which is a statute approximately this thick, substantially changed in favor of the homeowners. What I had started to say earlier was those gentlemen that I introduced earlier they're both veterans, and there's another gentleman by the name of Bob Frank, who was a colonel, 22 years in the Air Force. Bob Frank was arrested by the Henderson Police Department for speaking up and speaking out against his boy. And it was online on the Las Vegas Sun, big article, and it's going to be on, I believe, in print on Monday.
We have less than a minute for the panel. It would be 1:45. The next question needs to be very quick and concise.
Do they win? Can you just take 30 seconds each to give your answers in?
Sure. You want to go first, Joe? Get the mic, Joe.
So this is the last question.
Yes.
Contrary to the opinion that a lot of people hold, there's hardly anything left in the state government programs that are actually paid for and operated by our departments that hasn't already been shrunken, in many cases, 4 or 5 or more sessions in a row, with each administration or each governor trying to shave it as far as they can in the legislature, dealing with the problem, to what extent do we lose function as we cut? And I think that there is no agency that I know of that is grossly overfunded. A lot of them, including corrections.
Mr. Farrell?
I think that our state is inundated, and especially recently with a lot of so-called nanny laws. You know, one of the reasons I moved to Nevada was it used to be a state that you know, it was a free state. You know, a state, you know, battle-born, right? You know, lately we've been implementing a lot of what I call nanny laws, and I think that one of the fundamental things that would improve our state is to start the repeal of a lot of those.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you for your time. Do you feel you've been treated fairly and objectively by this panel? Yes. Okay. I want to appreciate
Yes, I would have liked
your
more time.
Thank you very, very much.